Hello and welcome to another episode of Mad Mondays with Patrick and Celeste.
Where our Mondays are so mad, we have to broadcast on Thursdays. Now, I reckon we might start with some footy.
It's been all over the place recently, has it?
Certainly has. What have you got for us?
Well, as everyone probably has heard through seeing that it's been all over the place in the last couple of days, Melbourne, the AFL have come out with their finalised summary of the Melbourne tanking issue.
Yep.
So they've come out and they've said that they've imposed bans on both Dean Bailey and Chris Connolly, who were both part of Melbourne at the time. So Dean Bailey's been banned for the first 16 rounds, which hurts the Crows a little bit.
Yeah.
It is a bit harsh. Chris Connolly's been banned for a year.
That's out of control.
Yeah, I know. Well, Melbourne have escaped with only a $500,000 fine.
Yeah.
So it probably hurts the Crows more than anyone, and Rob Chapman.
Yes.
Sorry, you go.
No, I was going to say because he can't have any contact with the players at all, can he?
Well, that's it. He can't have any. He can still work out of his office, so he can still have. He can still help with the coaching roles, and help them. But he can't have any contact with the players whatsoever, which hurts the Crows probably more than Melbourne.
Yeah.
So CEO Rob Chapman came out the other day after he found out the foundings and said that he's filthy with the penalty that's been handed down.
Filthy.
Filthy.
Good descriptive word.
Yeah.
Love it.
So in an interview with the Advertiser he did the other day, he said, "We have become the unwitting victim in all of this, and I'm very disappointed that we couldn't structure a penalty which would have had a lesser impact on our football club. My point is, it's a Melbourne Football Club issue, and we, the Crows, have been whacked. We would have rather been fined than lose Dean for 16 matches. Overall, I thought the whole thing could have been handled better, so that the Adelaide Football Club didn't become a victim in this when we had nothing to do with it," which is true.
Fair enough, because they could have just fined Dean Bailey personally himself, and then that doesn't affect the Crows, and then given Melbourne their penalties as well.
Well,
it's not really fair because they didn't know about it when they hired him, did they really?
Well, that's it. And the Crows have been stripped of draft picks for the coming drafts for the Kurt Tippett scandal, and so why not Melbourne have draft picks taken off them rather than trying to bring other clubs into it? It's almost affected the Crows more than it has the Demons.
Yeah.
So it's all very confusing, and it hurts the Crows more, saying that Stephen Triggs suffered the 6-month ban from the Kurt Tippett scandal, and Phil Harper as well with the 2-month ban, but he's due back on the 1st of March, so he'll be back around the club soon. But it's an interesting subject. The AFL sort of said that have penalised Melbourne and Dean Bailey and Chris Connolly for tanking, but yet have said there's been no tanking happening. Yeah. So it doesn't really make sense.
Bit confusing.
It is. They've said they summarised their findings yesterday, and they said there been no directive from the Melbourne Football Club board or executive management that the team should deliberately lose matches in any games during the 2009 Premiership season, and that the Melbourne Football Club, its coach and team, did not set out deliberately to lose any matches during the 2009 Premiership season. So
they didn't tank.
So if they didn't tank, so that's what you get out of that. But then they go on to say that Melbourne Football Club's then general manager of football operations, Chris Connolly, during the 2009 Premiership season, had acted in a manner concerning pre-game planning, comprising comments to a football department meeting, which was prejudicial to the interests of the AFL. The Melbourne Football Club then senior coach Dean Bailey, having regard to Mr. Connolly's comments during the 2009 Premiership season, had acted in a manner which was prejudicial to the interests of the AFL. So pretty much saying that they tanked. So it's very confusing, and I'm sure there's a lot of Crows fans out there that are a little bit disappointed in what's going on and very confused as well. And it just 1 minute the AFL was saying that yes, there's tanking involved, but in the next breath they're saying no, there wasn't. So I think they're just trying to say, yes, we're going to penalise you, but we're not going to say
exactly what it's for until... Does it have to go to court or something like that? Maybe they can't do anything until that sort of thing.
I don't think it's going to go to court because I think Melbourne are happy with what's been
if
handed
everyone
down.
takes their penalties, right?
Yeah, so I think it's just the findings that the investigation that's been done by the AFL, and that's it. I think so. I think they're just the AFL is trying to save the brand of AFL at the moment with all the drugs and stuff that's been going through the AFL and sport in general in Australia recently. It's I think it's just trying to save the AFL brand by not coming out and saying yes, there's been teams that are tanking, and this has also brought up a whole different another topic in whether there should be a lottery draft pick rather than the draft that's going on at the moment. So
what do you mean by lottery?
So it's a bit like the NFL and the NBA. What they do, they put teams into a bucket or whatever.
Oh, like a hat, pull names out of a hat.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
They're pulling names out of a hat, and if the lower you finish, the more times your name gets put in that hat.
Ah.
So the more chance you have of being drawn out.
But you might still not.
But you still might.
Okay.
Yeah. So that way you can't have people losing games and then falling down and getting your priority picks like Melbourne did in 2009.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting
tell us
theory.
your thoughts. I'm keen to get a conversation going about that. I like that idea. Sounds good to me, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah,
it's definitely interesting, and David Noble from the Crows, he put the idea out there yesterday as well when all this stuff came to light, and I think it's not a bad idea. It's obviously worked for the NBA and the NFL, so I can't see why it wouldn't work over here. And with the free agency, if you're not happy with your club after 8 years, you're gonna get the opportunity to move anyway. So I don't see a problem with it. But
let's do it.
Well, that's it. Yeah, exactly.
Decision made.
That's it.
Should we move on to some more happier football?
I think we should.
NAB Cup started. So excited.
Oh, very exciting.
So we had Friday night, Essendon, Western Bulldogs and Collingwood, where Collingwood won 2 matches. They won against the Western Bulldogs 47-29, and then they beat Essendon 31-29. 29's the famous number. And then Essendon beat the Bulldogs 45-19. So poor Bulldogs, 2 losses.
But good for Essendon to get back out in the park, I think, and get all the drug scandal behind them, I think. So.
Especially because it was the first game off the first cab off the rank. So
that's
good
it.
to see them showing what they're made of.
Yeah.
I wish they were broadcasting it on free to air. I'm really disappointed.
It would be nice.
Don't have Foxtel, just little old normal, free to air TV. So one day maybe they'll show the NAB Cup.
Well, that's it. I think they're saying that there's a problem with the crowd numbers, but I guess that having people watching it TV is not going to help. But if you get more people interested by having it on free to air TV, then maybe more people will start to go. But
we've still got the normal season.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it, exactly.
Foxtel. And so on Saturday we had Geelong, West Coast and Fremantle over in Perth, was it?
Over in Perth, Pattinson Stadium.
So each team won a game, good to see. Geelong 49-47 over West Coast, so that was pretty close. Fremantle over Geelong 48-30, so that's a bit of a bigger margin. Probably weren't expecting that, were they, off the...
It's all pre-season. It's all hard to judge.
And during that game, Stevie J has got himself a 1-week ban for striking Ballantyne, who got hit in the chest, was it?
I think so, chest, stomach, yeah.
So that's unlucky. And Sandlands is out for 8 weeks?
Yeah, he did a hammy earlier on this week at training, so it wasn't during the game, but it was during training, so that's a big blow for them, losing their number 1 ruckman. But
and West Coast bet Fremantle 40-16, so it's a bit hard to judge that it's NAB Cup, and the short games, you can't, once you get into a rhythm, game's over.
That's exactly right.
And in the sweltering heat on Sunday afternoon, I know I was sweating just working in the bar. Can't imagine what it would have been like out on the Oval. So we had Crows, St Kilda and Port Adelaide. So in the first game, St Kilda defeated Adelaide 50-24, and then they had to back up straight away in the heat and go against Port Adelaide, and they lost 65-15. And then Port Adelaide had to back it up and play the Crows, and they lost 43-27. So I think that's sort of a whoever was fresh won, except for the first game, obviously, both fresh. But yeah, St Kilda had to play 2 games, lost the second one. Port had to play 2 games, lost the second one. I don't think it's really fair that they had to play 2 games in that heat. I don't know what you can do to change it, and because you don't know until the day the weather's going to be. But
hey, us cricketers have to play it all the time. No,
winter sport. Winter sport.
Yeah, that's it. The AFL had a heat policy in place, but decided not to go with it. I think if it's over 38 degrees, they could shorten the halves to 15-minute halves each. But decided to go with the full 20 minutes instead, so ignoring the heat rule. So that's interesting. But I think there's been a push for more night games played during the NAB Cup as well, and that's understandable, I guess. But I guess I
suppose you can't have 3 night games because they were Friday night and Saturday night. The other 2 were they? So 3 night games is a bit much, but still.
Especially if it's a Sunday night, or then if you're having all the games in one round, like they will be in the coming weeks, you're going to have games on Thursday nights and Friday nights and Monday nights even. It's just gets too hard.
And so this week, we've got Friday night, Melbourne, North Melbourne and Richmond.
This is the continuation of round 1, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
And then on Saturday night, so that was at Etihad, the Melbourne, and then Saturday night Gold Coast, Hawthorn and Brisbane at Metricon Stadium up in the Gold Coast, and then Sunday twilight afternoon 4:30, we've got GWS Sydney and Carlton at Blacktown International Sports Park. So is this the first game that's been played at Blacktown?
No, I think GWS played a few games there last year.
Okay.
So they've worn in a little bit, but so I think it's all up and going, and it's good going well. Yeah.
So should we move on to cricket? Have you got some cricket news for us?
There's always cricket news. Well, it's nearing the end of the season, so the Rugby Cup and the Sheffield Shield are all sort of coming to a close. So the Rugby Cup, I think the final's in a couple of weeks' time, and unfortunately the South Australian Redbacks won't be taking part in that final and won't be going back to back. Unfortunately, they needed to win one of their last 3 one-day clashes against Victoria and 2 against New South Wales, and lost all 3, unfortunately. So. But they're still well in contention in the Sheffield Shield, winning again today. So that takes them to top of the Shield ladder. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they can get a home final in that, which would be nice.
That'd be good.
And also a positive out of that, we've had one of the Glenelg Seahorse boys, Alex Carey, making his debut on both the Rugby Cup and Shield games this week. So congrats to our Carey. Doing very well. And Chad Say is continuing his blistering form in the Shield, taking another 8 wickets for the match, taking a 5 for and a 3 for.
Oh wow!
So he leads the Shield wicket tally, I think, at the moment. So good on him. And in other games, Queensland are currently 7 for 193 after being all out in their first innings for 322, and Victoria declaring at 8 for 536. So they're currently sitting second and third in the Shield table. So that's an interesting match. And Tasmania are batting in their game against WA and are 2 for 37 with Alex Doolan and Ricky Ponting currently at the crease. So that'll be an interesting game to watch there. And the women's cricketers.
Yes, good to see.
Yeah.
Really exciting.
Yeah, very good. They won the World Cup, the one-day World Cup over in India against the West Indies the other night. So that's good on them. That's good to see them winning some silverware. So goldware even. But yeah, so good on them and congratulations. And also over in India, the Australian men's team are over there at the moment. Yeah. They've just finished one of their trial matches against an India A side, and probably not the best result they could have hoped for. India A made 451 in their first innings with recently axed Indian Test batsman Gautam Gambhir making 112 and up-and-coming batsman Tiwari making 129. And the pick of the Aussie bowlers were the three spinners. So Xavier Doughty took 3 for 108 off his 24 overs. Young WA spinner Agar took 3 for 107 off his 20, and Test spinner Nathan Lyon took 2 for 113 off his 31 overs. So boys got hit around a bit, but oh well. And then Australia made 235 and 3 for 195 in reply. So Shane Watson top scoring in both of those innings, making 84 and 60. And Ed Cohen making 40 and 53 in those two innings as well. So good to see
someone's doing well.
Yeah, that's it. So good to see the top order making some runs as well. And in more Australian cricket news, the men have named their 12-man side for their first test against India starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
And Moses Henriques from New South Wales will be making his test debut, which should be good. So good luck to him. And so they've got the 12-man side is Clark, Cohen, Warner, Hughes, Watson, Wade, Henriques, Siddle, Stark, Pattinson, Lyon, and Glenn Maxwell's the 12th man. So
looks good on paper. Sounds good. So hopefully they go as well as they sound.
Well, that's it. Yeah. So good side on paper, and yeah, fingers crossed for the boys. So
good to see Warner back also.
That's it. Warner returning from a finger injury, so good to see him back on the park. And young quick Kane Richardson suffered an injury in his Australia A game the other day, unfortunately.
That's unlucky.
Yeah, so and his coach has blamed the change of action. So it's.
I suppose if you're not used to it, you try and a bit awkward, but hopefully you can get used to it and get back in the game quickly.
Well, that's it. He's close to Australian selection, so he'll hopefully get back in the park, and also he's got his IPL season to look forward to in a couple of months, so hopefully he can get back on the park before then. Yeah, so and I believe you have some tennis news for us.
Yes, love a bit of tennis news. So we had the Doha tournament that finished last week, and Victoria Azarenka defeated Serena Williams in the final. But just for making it into the quarterfinals, Serena Williams has regained her number 1 position.
I did see that.
So good on her.
Yeah, she's playing some good tennis at the moment. Well,
not being injured, so yeah, she plays good games, doesn't get injured.
That's it.
And it's up to the quarterfinals in tournament in Dubai. Sammy Stosur is on a bit of a winning streak. She's into the quarterfinals and will play Roberta Vinci from Italy. And other players into the round of 16 in Dubai are Nadia Petrova, Sarah Irani, Petra Kvitova, Agnieszka Radwanska, Caroline Wozniacki and Marion Bartoli. So there are a few good names playing that tournament.
What do you reckon Sammy Stosur's chances are like against her opponent?
I think she'll do alright against Vinci, but then after that it might go a bit downhill.
Yeah.
But not losing faith.
That's it.
If she's on a roll at the moment, she usually keeps going. So
yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah.
And there's only 2 really big names or like recognisable names in the quarterfinals in the Memphis tournament, women's Memphis tournament. Sabina Lisicki and Kirsten Flipkins. So there'll be 2 of the players battling it out in the quarterfinals. And there's also a women's tournament in Colombia, which is I didn't even know there was a Colombian tournament. So
No.
okay. Jelena Jankovic is the number 1 seed, and she could possibly meet Francesca Schiavone in the final if they both win all their matches. It's only up to the second round at the moment. So.
Former French Open champion, I believe.
Yes.
Beat our Sammy, I believe.
Yes. And then there is a men's tournament in Buenos Aires, and David Ferrer is the top seed. He's into the second round, and other players competing in that tournament are David Nalbandian, Nikos Ramos and David Almagro. So I think that's already up to the second round as well, so still a fair way to go. But our mate, Bernard Tomic, not really our mate, but Aussie's mate, he takes on Joe Wilfried Songa in the quarterfinals in Marseille in France. So good to see him back in some form.
Be a good game.
And Thomas Burditch is also through to the quarterfinals with Tipsarevic, Beneteau, Simon and Del Potro still to play their second round matches.
So still a few French blokes left in that French tournament. That'll be interesting. Bernie coming up against Songa in front of Songa's home crowd.
Yeah, I unfortunately don't like his chances because Songa's I think the third seed.
Yeah.
So, but he might too.
Well, that's it. Might surprise us. Hopefully, fingers crossed for him.
Shouldn't be so down and out.
That's it. He's playing some good tennis at the moment, so hopefully he can continue his good form that he started off the summer with and keep going.
One more tournament. There is third seed John Isner lost his first round match in the men's section of the draw at the Memphis tournament. Marin Cilic is the number one seed and is into the second round. And also a bit of a blast from the past. James Blake from the USA was a wild card in this tournament. It's good to see him back after I think he's been injured for quite a while.
Yeah.
He's a very entertaining player, so glad to see him back. Hopefully he gets into some form again.
Yeah, that's it.
And I think that's about it for tennis news.
Yeah.
We have some sort of different sort of news that the Sydney Morning Herald is going to a compact tabloid format in just 2 weeks. 2 weeks time, after 181 years of being broadsheet layout. So that's a big, very big change. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, very big change. Interesting.
So see what people think, because I think they did a study middle of last year saying that more people will read if it's a tabloid.
It's much easier to read.
It is much easier to read, but I think it's the demographic you're aiming for, like the audience. You're like people that read Sydney Morning Herald generally probably won't read the Advertiser, something like that, or what's the equivalent? I don't know what the Sydney equivalent is of the Advertiser, but I see how it goes. So they can always just try it.
Yeah, that's it.
If it doesn't work.
Yeah. I reckon that's just about it. But one more thing before we go.
Yes.
Dream Team.
Dream Team. Get on it, guys.
Very excited. I always get very excited for footy season because it means Dream Team and Super Coach is back up and running. So we've got a Mad Mondays Dream Team League. So if any of you guys want to join in, the code is 263749.
Remember it. Write it down.
Yep, that number again, 263749, just in case you didn't catch the first time. Alright, so if you want to join our Dream Team competition, be more than happy, and the more the merrier. It'd be good to see a few of our listeners on there, and we'll have a bit of a competition, and we'll broadcast it each week on how everyone goes, and
players' points and everything. We'll
that's
keep you up to date.
Yeah.
And if there's anything else you want us to talk about, any sports, because we just really look at our favourite sports, so hopefully, well, we will not hopefully, try and broaden our sports topics. Tell us what you want to hear. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. We'd love to hear some feedback.
Yeah.
And get on the Dream Team.
That's it. Get around the Dream Team. We'll try and put up some questions on Facebook and Twitter in the next couple of weeks, and try and get some interaction going through that as well. So if you can get involved in that as well, and that'll help us, and we'll be able to broadcast some answers for you as well. And if you've got any questions for us, then we're happy to answer them as well. So if you'll jump on the Twitter, Mad Mondays 13, or our Facebook page, Mad Mondays with Patrick and Celeste. So like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter, and
you can always just Google search Oz Sports Online, and we're the top Oz Sports Online is the top option that comes up in the search, and just make sure, it says ozsportsonline.wordpress, similar to that, so that's us. You'll find us through there. Then there's Facebook and the Twitter.
That's it.
So thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, catch you next week.